Hello, everybody. Welcome to Super Cyber Friday. Alexandra, I have a question for you, and it's about leadership. Could you give me some good advice on being a cybersecurity leader?
Always remember to put on your own oxygen mask first. Sometimes that means taking a training or taking a vacation, but you've got to care for yourself so you can care for your team and your mission.
That is some excellent advice. Now, Jody, I'm going to ask you to do the opposite of that. Could you give me some bad advice on being a cybersecurity leader?
Absolutely. Put your passwords on a t-shirt and walk around Times Square in the middle of the day so that everybody can access your accounts.
Very good. All right. That's pretty bad. And Andrew Aiken's already jumping in with bad advice himself. All right. I want you to give me some worse advice, Alexandra.
Don't worry about what the data tells you. Just always do this exact same thing over and over again. It'll always work out.
Yeah. Nothing is ever going to change.
Get ready. It's Super Cyber Friday.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Super Cyber Friday. Today's topic is hacking leadership skills, an hour of critical thinking about building the skills you need to succeed. By the way, I think, a little bit of Jody's audio possibly breaking up. I hope that is not happening, but let's hope for the best here. Stand by, everyone. All right. Let me introduce you to our two guests. It's Alexandra Landegger, who's the Executive Director and CISO over at Collins Aerospace. And also Jody Lash, who is the Cybersecurity Senior Director over at FanDuel. We are thrilled they're both here to talk about leadership and specifically cybersecurity leadership. All right, let's go through just the basics. Whoops, let that bounce back. 7 different ways to participate. Why is this bouncing back? Someone else pressing buttons? So you can... Whoa, it is freaking out on me. Why is it doing that? I'm pressing nothing here. Okay, stay where you are. 7 different ways to participate. Just are the bad ideas are how not to build leadership skills, and 10% better how to improve your leadership skills. You can join us on video at any time by asking the question, bring me on, or just making the statement, I'm sorry, bring me on. Ask questions for our guests. If you look at the icon on the right, the one that has a little question mark, you click on that, you can ask a question. Please ask lots of questions. We want to hear them. You can also submit a question for our Super Cyber Meetup at the end. We do that at the tail end of the show. We roll over into Discord where you get to have face-to-face time, and you can vote for your favorite question. All right. Our schedule, we did good advice, bad advice, worse advice, how not to build leadership skills, how to improve leadership skills. We're going to play the public interest and fantasy CISO, one specifically for leadership. We'll have our Super Cyber Meetup questions. We're just going to ask you for the questions you want during a meetup, and then the last questions answer, and then our meetup. Let me also remind you that in 2 weeks, we have no show next week, but in 2 weeks, we're doing the show of Hacking Alerts, an hour of critical thinking about triaging the deluge hitting your SOC. You can click that button at the bottom of the screen to register for that event at any time during this discussion. We say at any time during this discussion, and you will be put into a different window. You can register. You will not be taken out of this. So please click and register for next week's event. All right, enough of me talking about that. All right, one of the things we hear again and again for cybersecurity leaders is they need to communicate the language of the business. And my feeling is this is going to come up a lot during our discussion, specifically for CISOs. But there are other levels of leadership. Is that skill critical for all other leaders that are not the CISO? I will start with you, Alexandra.
So I actually was having a conversation with my team about this exact topic earlier. We've got a list of 1,000 things we've got to go burn down across the business. And we've been sharing the data over and over again with the teams. Hey, here are the vulnerabilities. Here are the systems. Here's the date we need you to fix this by. And you don't always get the full results you're looking for. Instead, what we've started doing is figuring out how do we translate to meet people where they are. Being able to articulate, hey, here are the specific 5 steps we need you to take. Here's the why. Here's what it will look like when you know you succeeded at this. And by translating, we're starting to see results trickle in, 10x faster just by showing up the right way and speaking the language of our system owners, embedding into change management processes and not just speaking cyber for the sake of cyber.
Okay, Jody, I'm going to take this to you. Hopefully your audio is sounding good. How do you answer this question as to, is this responsibility of communicating to the business a responsibility of all cybersecurity leaders, not just the CISOs?
Percent. I mean, we're coordinating and working with our business every single day. And to Alex's point, right, we need to make sure that we're meeting our business where they know and understand things. When you go to the board, right, you need to explain it into ways that they'll understand, all the way down to somebody who might be doing the work. It's a little more detailed, right? So you need to be able to come up the scale and go down the scale to whatever level of detail or translation to the business that you need to make, right? So I totally agree.
Okay, awesome. All right. Everyone, I just want to remind everyone, please get your questions in. And I love the fact that the bad ideas are coming in as well. So please, like Andrew Aiken, before we could even start, had one locked and loaded, ready to go. Prioritize your own comfort and convenience. By the way, this flies in the face of your tip of good advice, Alexandra.
It's a fine line. It's a fine line.
But listen what Andrew says goes on. He goes, make sure to take all the credit when things go right and assign blame to your team when they don't. Now, there you go. That's where he diverts. He takes a different path than you did. All right. We will get to those later in the show. Please get your questions in. But I got plenty of my own. Okay. So here's another question that comes up. And I would love to hear your personal accounts on how you did this, both of you. And I'll start with you, Jody, you start as a cybersecurity professional. When you start, you really are starting building leadership skills. So how do you go about it? Because it just seems kind of amorphous. And if there isn't any kind of a training program for leadership, which some larger companies do have, how do you get those skills and what are those skills you're doing? So I'm interested to know how you did it, Jody.
Yes, absolutely. I actually only recently joined cybersecurity a few years ago by way of a very windy roaded career through app development and testing, resilience, GRC, et cetera. And so I got into it through transferable skills, right? I was known for being a good problem solver, being able to figure things out, being open to continuous learning. And so for me, it's really all about taking that initiative, providing value wherever you can, and showing how what you already know today can be applied to the problem of tomorrow, right? So for me, I was, an ITSM and resilience leader, but all the things that I worked on there, I was able to show how I could apply it to fixing our SOC and our vulnerability management program at my previous employer. And here I am today as a full-blown security professional.
Very, very good. All right. Alexandra, you became CISO. And I remember, if you don't mind, I'm going to reference something that you told me.
Oh, yeah.
That somebody challenged you, like, why do you have the job that I should be having right now? Because you got positioned, you had built some pretty good relations and got positioned pretty quickly as CISO. How did you develop your leadership skills?
Yeah, so I think there's lots of versions of what leadership looks like. To some people, it's about leading people and teams. There's boxes and lines on an org chart that say you are the leader. But really, anyone in an organization can be a leader. And there's a great book all about this called Leading Without Authority that I highly recommend if you want to kind of dig deeper on the subject. The idea is it doesn't matter who reports to you. It's, do you have a mission and a vision that you can rally people around you to go execute against? And regardless of whether they report to you or not, how do you figure out what makes them tick and move forward together? Sometimes that's teaming up with peers and making sure that we can accomplish more together. Sometimes that's about finding other junior people and rallying them around a mission because you can't get it all done yourself. But leadership doesn't
May I pause you just for a second, Alexandra? Sure. Did you read that book beforehand, and were you actually practicing these activities of leading without authority early on? Yes?
So I actually read the book about 2 years ago, and it was a great way of reflecting, oh yeah, I was doing this earlier in my career. I had a series of awesome mentors along the way. There's a great visual. One time somebody asked me, okay, you've got mentors and you've got sponsors. What's the difference? A mentor teaches you how to walk down a hallway faster, more gracefully. A sponsor will build doors that you can then use to exit that hallway and find a new, more golden hallway going forward. And so constantly searching out mentors and sponsors has been such a crucial part of my growth and really accelerated career by making myself indispensable to people that I really respect and I'm willing to go above and beyond for, give my 100% for, and have that combo of mentors that help me grow and learn and sponsors that help build and open doors that then I've got to figure out how to walk through. So definitely a few things that popped up in the book that helped me crystallize what had been working and also explore some new areas that I could double down on going forward.
That is, by the way, just that title alone speaks volumes, Leading Without a Target, because a lot of people say, I want to do this, but because the org chart, it says I can't. And that book says, no, you can. I mean, and that's how you prove yourself, that kind of thing.
And in cyber, there's no way we will ever lead with authority, right? I mean, we are talking about a mission that permeates across the entire business. And so how do you flex that muscle more and more? That's how we become stronger cyber leaders.
And I got to assume, I'm going to take this to you, Jody. I'm assuming part of your job is communicating with other departments. I mean, we always talk about knowing the business, but can you tell me specifics how you ingrain yourselves in other departments that are not the cybersecurity department? Like, what is the actual process you're doing?
Outreach, education, right? Setting up those cadences. You know, you mentioned mentorship, sponsorship. I mentor and sponsor folks who are not inside my organization so that we're building relationships constantly. Because the last thing you want to have, David, is calling somebody only when you need them, right? So you need to do that work up front so that when the time does come that you need to triage something, you need their help on a weekend because there's an emergency or an incident, right? They're there to be there with you and help you out. So it really comes down to putting in that work to build a relationship. So education, meeting, coffee, right? Work-related opportunities, and just creating those like you mentioned with sponsorship, right? Creating those doors for other people too. Hey, I really know you're interested in this. I saw this opportunity pop up, and being that connective tissue between two other parties, right? Really, really important and impactful.
That is actually great tips. And also you make a good point, and is that this never comes from one action. It's a series of small actions. Alexandra, you're nodding your head. Yes?
Oh yeah, it's definitely, it's every interaction you have is an opportunity to shape your brand, to shape people's perception that you care about them and what they're doing. Or are you just there? Is it another transaction where you're adding another thing to their to-do list on a Friday before the weekend?
Yeah, good point. And by the way, we'll pull this up, but Andy Ellis, who's one of my other co-hosts, wrote a book called 1% Leadership that very much speaks to this. It speaks to the very small things you do that adds up to leadership qualities as well, which is very impressive. All right, we do have some questions come in. Please get more questions. This comes from Larry Rosen. It's still the exception to see women in cyber leadership positions. How have you personally worked to overcome the innate prejudices in this industry? Tell me, do you feel that? And do you feel that you did have to overcome specific things? Either one of you jump in. Here, let me put Larry's question.
I mean, 1,000%, right? Think I started with my college being 76% male, right? And I've kind of been in that kind of boat since. I think inherently for me personally, the way that I've overcome it, I'm fortunate that I'm interested in certain things that connect better to the male population than the female population, like sports and gaming and card games and things like that. So I'm able to connect with them more on a personal level than always just fully professional, if that makes sense. But some of the things that I've done is I've leveraged programs like WeSys. I've leveraged programs like Women in Tech, and I've helped build some communities like that for other women, right? To just show that we're not alone. We do have, even if it is small, we do have voices, we do have a group, and we can, if we bring them all together, we can make ourselves louder. We can make our, presence more seen. So really just participating in those, and I'm coming back to that door piece. Once I walk through the door, I help hold it open for the next one behind me, right? And that's really kind of a big piece as well when it comes to seeing more representation, seeing more women. So just making sure that now that I've gotten to this stage, I'm using it the right way for others.
Very, very good point. You were nodding your head very much, Alexandra. So is the problem is a lot of the problem for women in cybersecurity leadership just sheer numbers, a problem and that you're just not visibly seen? Or is there more to it that that I should understand?
So there's sometimes there are small things that happen, and sometimes there are big things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
For example, one of the most transformational moments of my career, I was running a workshop while a consultant at Booz Allen for some of my clients. And we've got our 2 male clients in the room. First up, this guy, John, has been facilitating a whiteboarding session. And then it's one of my team members, Diana's turn to lead the next segment. And as I'm like, hey, Diana, can you hop up and walk us through the next piece here? My client leans back, put his arms around the 2 chairs next to him, and just goes, damn, finally, an ass worth looking at.
God.
This is not 1950. This is 2014, 2015-ish. And I've heard things
He said
like
that, so everyone in the room heard this, yes?
And fortunately, because of some things that were said earlier in the meeting that kind of got my spidey sense up, I had asked one of my VPs to come and just sit, listen in, see if I'm being too sensitive. And fortunately, he heard that one and says, hey, look, we need to take a quick bio break. He pulls me to the side and he says, Alexandra, are you comfortable with what was just said? I'm like, well, it's not great, but like, they're our number one client. He's like, Alexandra, this is your time for a leadership learning moment. How do you think Diana's feeling? What's John going to think he can say if you don't speak up and say something right now? And he had my back. He said, look, if we don't have a new point of contact by tomorrow, we are walking away from this $10 million worth of business.
Hold it. He said that or you said that?
My boss told me, I have your back. We will walk away from this client if there is not a new point of contact tomorrow. This is
unacceptable. So you essentially dumped this guy for that line. Wow, that's a power move. I'm impressed.
It's ballsy. But it at the end of the day, we got to value our teams. We've got to value our people because this is unacceptable behavior. And again, this is one of those big examples, but it also then affected me in the many small examples that I see people kind of talking over one another or, asking a woman her age or like all sorts of weird, funky things that happen in the workplace.
Microaggressions, essentially.
Exactly. Because then it's like, hey, look, no, I don't want people thinking this is okay. And as a leader, I'm going to lean in those moments. And, Jody, you mentioned WeSys, and I know EWF is another one. There's a lot of great organizations out there that I've definitely really leaned in hard with to help make sure that we all realize that is not okay.
Well, kudos to the leadership move of your boss at that time. That's very impressive. Yeah. But here's something that I've noticed, and this speaks to brand specifically. Making that move makes it clear is this is our brand. This is how, and our brand is way bigger than this agreement. Mm-hmm. And what is that guy going to say? He's going to say, well, screw you, we're canceling. What he's going to do is go back, we're going to cancel because I made a crude comment in a meeting. Like, he'd lose his job. What do you think he's going to do? So he knows he's got to walk out of there with his tail between his leg and just look like an idiot and just say, hey, I got to get off this property. Yeah, I'm sure he didn't say the reason, but he's got to get off. That's an amazing story right there. All right. By the way, everyone's blowing up. I'm on Suit said, oh my God, sorry, but what an absolute dick. Yeah, well, because seriously, you don't want to look at that guy again in a meeting, would you?
Oh, seriously. I mean, it was a rough rest of the day.
Well, it was good. All right, we got to get to our first game. My apologies. That story was too good. So, and again, I can't believe, like, how recently was that story? Like,
it was, I think it was 2015, maybe 2016.
Okay, so it was a while ago, but
it's been a little while. But I've seen some things since then where it's
I'm always amazed. Pervasive. I'm always amazed. All right, let's play our first game, everybody.
Do you know what others are thinking? On the public interest.
All right, Jody, Alexandra. Jody's actually played this game before. It's your first time, Alexandra, but it's pretty simple. And the audience, you will see, will play along. I will play along too because I have not seen these questions. My great producer, Rich Stroffolino, created this. Let's see what we got here. Question number 1. Now, what gets more average monthly search queries? Is it the word influence or persuasion? And remember, this is not just cybersecurity people. It's anybody searching on the internet. So what do you think? Alexandra, I'll start with you.
I think influence is having its moment right now.
Okay. What do you think?
I happen to agree. I think it's influence.
And I'm going to agree with influence because I don't think people can spell persuasion.
I
That
thought
is
the same
literally
thing,
my
David.
only reason. What do we think? Oh, we're all three of us wrong.
No.
Oh man,
I was
Maybe
just,
they're Googling to see how they can spell it.
yeah,
that could be it.
persuasion is the tougher one to
By
pull
the way,
off.
it got
Influence
most
is
of
the
us.
softer. Yeah.
Francisco Dio and anyone else, he was the only, almost most of us got burnt by that one. Francisco was the only one who picked persuasion, it looks like. All right. Plan, strategy, or vision. I'll start with you, Jody, on this one.
I think plan because it's such a wide-ranging thing. So plan.
Plan. It is Purdue. I'm going strategy personally. I'm taking
Yeah,
strategy.
I was going to say strategy because everybody likes thinking they're strategic.
Okay, but you also have to think of what it could be the terms that they were using to search for strategy. All right, plan, strategy, vision. So we have one plan, two strategies, and the answer is we're all
Neither of
wrong.
us.
We're 0 for 2 now. Great.
They're just
anyone
out there
put it-
looking for eye doctors.
Larry
There's
Rosen
no
went
bad data
vision.
down here.
Geez, we're all getting, and David Klippel chose vision as well. God, we're all getting screwed. You know what? You know what it usually is? There's usually like a company name called Vision or something that we don't know about, and that's why all those searches go for that. All right. 0 for 2. Jeez. All right. Let's pick it up. Let's. There's only 2 more questions here. Collaboration, development, or relationship. I'll answer first. I'll say development. I'm going to go G. What do you think? Jody, Alexandra?
I'm thinking relationship. Again, just going, it's a broad term.
That doesn't necessarily always work. I'll just tell you that.
As
No.
we're noticing, but I'm thinking about all the online matching services right now.
Oh,
with
there you go.
relationship
Yeah, there you
advice
go.
and
That could be
stuff.
that.
That's why I'm going relationship.
My gut says that too, but you know what? So one of us gets it right. I will go with collaboration.
Oh, you're so kind.
Thank you, Alexandra, for the
All right. And the correct
At least
answer
someone.
is Jody takes it. All right. Good job,
All
Jody.
right.
got
All right.
one.
Alexandra, you and I can redeem ourselves with one win here. Will Jody come for 2 for 4? We're going to find out on the last question. All right. This is good. Change management, crisis management, stress management. These are good ones.
I think it's stress management.
I
I'm
think
going
it's
stress too. All 3 stress? All right. Not a lot of people picking that. Let's see. We're all wrong. It was change
Brutal.
management.
Brutal.
Alexandra, you and I went 0 for 4. Jody was able
Ultimate
to.
losers.
Yeah, we were able to squeeze
Yeah,
out one.
I squeaked by.
There is no way anybody got 4 for 4. If you got, I'm interested to know if anyone got 3 for 4, but there's no way anyone got 4 for 4 on this. I can't imagine it. All right, 1 for 4 for James. All right, that one, good job, Rich. That was hands down, I think, the toughest one we've ever done. All right, we got a ton more questions, and please get up and get us more questions. Vote for them. So let's start with this one here from Peter G'day. How do you decide on allocating resources to tasks? This is good. So how do you help your team spending time on the most important things? Do you quantify risk and show the risk mitigation benefit of a mitigation task? Issues come up again and again and again. Like every day there's something new. How do you shuffle things around, and how do you get someone off a task to work on something more important? Like, I'm assuming you're managing this people's time and stuff like this all the time. You're both nodding heads. I'm going to start with you, Alexandra. How the heck do you handle this?
You know, if there were a magic model that could work here, I think we would all buy it. Unfortunately, the reality is we are managing this at multiple levels, multiple different ways today, and none of them is perfect. So one version of this is looking sort of overall capacity across the team. Do we have the right number of people with the right skills across the team based on sort of organizational priorities, key projects, key customer deliverables, those types of things, looking sort of once a year, right? Do we have the org structure set up the right way with the right focus? Then at a more tactical level, you know, on a weekly, sometimes even daily basis, we've got team leaders meeting with their teams, trying to figure out, are we focused on the right tasks? One of the great sort of tactical things that I've used on a team in the past is you get everybody a paper plate. And pack of markers, and you fill out, look at your last week's calendar. How did you spend your time? And then you get a second paper plate and you draw out what percentage of time should you be spending on different things? Should you spend 90% of your time in meetings, or what would good look like, right? And if you start to have that visual and then you show the two paper plates side by side where you can see the pie chart of, oh, wait, I'm spending way too much time on this and not nearly enough time on that, that can be a really just very quick 5-minute goofy activity to do with the team to make sure you are focused in the right spots.
Mm-hmm. And you've done this paper plate exercise?
Yeah.
All right.
It's very silly. My mom learned it in the junior league a million years ago.
All right. So there you go. All right, Jody, how do you do this?
I'm a big user of the to the Eisenhower method, like with the 4-box square of to do, to delegate, to not do, things like that from a priority perspective. But I'd say the one piece of advice that a leader gave me earlier in my career when I transitioned from consulting to industry was, you're no longer on project-based work, in that sense that there is an end date. The mountain of work will always be there. So focus on the big rocks, the medium rocks, and sometimes those small rocks, as much as you want to do them, they're not going to get done, right? So that you don't burn yourself out, really focus on those big things. And so I use that method every day. I kind of do what are the top 3 things I need to get done today, recognizing that a fire may come up and I need to switch those top 3, but putting that plan together and helping my team have those same types of tools and making sure that we're having those communication points to say, what are your top 3? Do they align with my top 3? Okay, no, let's make sure that we're on the same page, because the last thing you want to do is have your team deliver something that wasn't actually the priority, right? So that I use that method a lot.
By the way, I want to remind everybody to click on the button at the bottom of the screen, the registering for the 927 hacking alert topic, which is going to be a good topic we'll discuss, because I'm sure everyone has those kinds of issues as well. All right, lots more good questions come in from Kartik Gupta, and I like this one a lot. So I'm 22, just starting in security engineering, aiming to become a CISO. Could you offer advice on common pitfalls to avoid? Should I prioritize, where did Alexandra go? Should I prioritize deepening security knowledge or focus more on risk and people management? What do you think? Where's the card?
Guess it's coming to me first.
Yes, it is coming to you.
So I would say that for me, yes, you're early in your career, right?
Oh.
You need to have a firm foundation of what it is. What is the discipline? What are the areas of focus, right? And I use this model called the hourglass model, right? So at the base of your career, at the start of your career, you want to be spread across a number of different things, have knowledge across a number of different things. And as you ascend up towards management, right, your expertise and depth will go lower, right? It'll go deeper into the depths of it, and you'll be able to kind of pinch into what is your main area of focus, right? So early in your career, check out different things, vulnerability management, check out the SOC, check out pen testing, everything that you want to know under the sun, find what works for you, deepen your skills in that. And then as you get into that management and then grow back out, you'll start to pull in tangential and complementary aspects to that thing that you are most experienced and have your expertise in, and build that remit back out to becoming that CISO. That's essentially how I've done it too. I focused mostly on resilience, and then I've spanned that back out into broader risk and broader GRC, and again, moving towards that CISO bucket sometime in the future.
Alexandra proving that technical difficulties can happen to anyone, even a CISO.
Now and again,
All right. I will ask you the very same question that I asked Jody. Jody, by the way, excellent answer there. I don't know how much of that you got to hear, Alexandra, but what are common pitfalls, and did you make any of them yourself?
Common pitfalls. Yeah, there are a lot of them. That's for sure. I think a couple that stand out. One is not knowing how to tell your story the right way. I find it really uncomfortable to get out there and beat my chest and say, I'm the best at this and this and this. It's really uncomfortable for me. Some people are great at it. It is natural to them. I fly under the radar typically a little bit more, and rely on good work to tell my story for me. And that worked for a lot of.
And by the way, if you talk and don't show, that does not work for most people. By the way,
exactly.
I just want to comment.
Good point. That's bad advice. That would be.
I do want to echo Andrew Aiken's comment here, common pitfall, setting your target as becoming a CISO for Kartik's comment at being 22, that's his goal. I think it's perfectly fine to make that as your goal, but a lot of people thumbed up that when in fact 10 people already thumbed up that comment. Go on, Alexandra, about common pitfalls.
Oh, yeah. No. So, figuring out the right way to tell your story and own your brand, it took me a little time to realize it's not just about bragging. It's about intentionally telling your story in the right forums, in the right way, in a way that's sincere to who you are. That took me a couple
can you
of
give me
years.
an example of how you did that?
So, one of my peers in his weekly one-on-one with the boss would say, hey, I did A, I did B, I did C. Look at how awesome I am. I deserve this award. Well, not my style. Worked for him, not my style. So instead, I started realizing, okay, I'm very comfortable talking about my team and the awesome things that they're doing. Hey, here's this amazing thing my team worked on in the last week. And as they were dealing with this challenge, here's what I did. What do you think? Is there something that I could do differently next time? And by making it sort of, okay, I'm spotlighting something that I think I did that was good, but I'm also being vulnerable and asking, what could I do to improve it going forward? It became a much more natural way of kind of telling my story and spotlighting the team versus spotlighting myself as the anchor. Frankly, they deserve the credit to begin with. and so it's for multiple reasons that was one of the tactics that I used to help there.
Oh, excellent. All right, more questions if you can handle them. What time? We'll play our next game in a few minutes. I got one more point to add. Jody, what is it?
I had two more points, and now it's two. But remember, there's no I in team, but you have to remember there is a me in there sometimes, right? So you have to your point about calling out your contributions, that's important. But back to the setting the target as becoming a CISO, I think the biggest thing you should think about, Karthik, is what are the qualities as you're kind of ascending in your career? What are the qualities you look for in a position? Is it to be challenged? Is it to be working with people? Is it to be more technical, right? So I think it's great to have the aspiration of wanting to be a CISO, but don't let that block you from thinking about what is it that you like about the job and that the things that you're doing and trying to find different opportunities to apply those, right? So again, I've had 5 different roles at 5 different companies, but they all are anchored on working with people, solving problems, right? And the things that energize me. So just try to find the things that energize you. And if those happen to align to being a CISO, awesome. If not, see where the path takes you as well.
I love this 10% better tip from Dwayne Gran, who said, stop delegating tasks and start delegating authority. You'll be surprised how people rise to the challenge when you trust them. I love that tip. Great tip. All right, here's a question about continuous learning, because a lot of cybersecurity professionals talk about continuous learning about the different technical skills they need, cloud computing skills, AI skills, whatever the new great thing should be or what people are hiring for. What do you feel the continuous learning you have to do, and what is it that you're doing? I'll start with you, Jody.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you need to at this level, right? Let's talk about at this level. At this level, you have to have enough technical knowledge to understand the concepts, but you don't necessarily need to be able to go, program at a daily level, right? That is where you have to trust in your team. The biggest thing for me is knowing how to ask the right questions, right? To get to the heart of things and to be able to understand things. And then also when it comes to leadership and soft skills, right? I think, you gave a great example from the world of 10 years ago. The world's changed, right? So the leadership practices need to change with it. How we engage with people, how we operate our one-on-ones, how we do training, things like that. So, I mean, you have to tap into that, right? Because otherwise you're not going to continue to ascend and not continue to motivate and grow your team the right way. So, I think you can go into the technical, great, but your role as a leader is to really be able to help motivate and educate and pointing out to that authority, right? Get folks to own it. And so that's really where I kind of spend the time. But just one example from my previous employer, I got put into owning the SOC. I'd never owned a SOC before, right? And so I went and took a hard technical training. I went to SANS and I built building and leading a SOC, right? So I could get that knowledge, but it was to be able to ask my team the right questions.
We hear this one a lot.
It was all about getting to that.
Yeah, and in fact, Jeff Belknap, who is now over at Microsoft, formerly CISO of LinkedIn, he has said many times on our shows, it is not my job to be the smartest person in the room. It's my job to know that my team are the smartest people in the room and that they can do it. All right, Alexandra, you're nodding your head. I'm interested in knowing, what is the continuous learning that you have been doing?
Yes. So for me personally, there's been a couple of elements. So when I first got into this job, I had an identity team. Identity is not the strong spot for me when it comes to all things cyber. In fact, it is my weakest point. And I realized I wasn't even smart enough to be able to ask the right questions and make sure the smart people were giving me the smart answers. And so I actually set up some recurring sessions with some of my identity team members to say, hey, can you just spend an hour a week geeking out with me and just teach me this? And sometimes I'm going to show up with questions, and other times I'm going to want you to just like pull up the tools you work in on a daily basis to just show me how this works in practice. Because yeah, I can read, I can watch different videos, I can listen in at different conferences, but the interaction is really what I needed in that moment to truly learn in a way that would allow me to then lead that team going forward.
And by the way, people love to educate and teach. If you ask someone, would you teach me? I will tell you, the only time I say no to this, and it drives me crazy, is, and I'm going to take us out just a little bit for this, is someone who's unbelievably green and says, teach me everything you know about podcasting. I'm like, whoa, slow down, stop.
Have a little focus.
Yeah, we gotta bring this in. We gotta bring this in a lot narrower. So
a great tool for that, Alexandra and David, that I use is, I call it the bullseye method. And that bullseye is who are your ride or dies? Who are the people and things that you need in order to be successful in your role? So to your point, identifying those SMEs that you can lean on to help educate you, to bounce ideas off of, right? And then that next one out is the must-haves, and the next one out there is the nice-to-haves, right? So really just understanding like, who are your stakeholders, and they could be people on your team, off your team, et cetera, that are going to help with your successful journey.
All right. I love this question from John Loba, and we're going to answer this question, then we're going to go to our next game. And John asks, and I'm eager to hear the specific stories, who was the most influential person or mentor that helped bring you to today? And what essentially did they do for you? Jody, tell me.
Yeah, his name is Paul Henry. May rest in peace. He was an engagement manager on a project for me back in IBM. I was first year out of college, knew nothing. And I was on the project as a meeting minutes person, kind of put in the box of, you're young, you don't know anything, go be the project manager's assistant. And when he joined the team, he made a concerted effort to sit down with everybody and understand, what skills do you have? What are you passionate about? What do you bring to the table? And so he met with every single person on the team, didn't matter their level, to understand what they could do. And then he reorganized the way the team was structured in order to make sure that your passions, your skills aligned to things that would help drive the progress of the project forward in a more meaningful way. And so I went from that meeting minutes person to a solution architect, partnered with a more experienced architect to learn some things. And 3 months in, I'm leading client-facing projects and meetings and things of that nature, right? So I would just say it's more of that, learn what your people are passionate about, and he just gave me that opportunity, and I never looked back.
That's very, very good. All right, Alexandra, the same question. Your mentor, and what do they do for you?
So for me, I would have to say Admiral Mike McConnell, who you might recognize the name. He was head of the NSA, former head of he was the director of national intelligence, retired admiral, really big deal in the cyber world. And I got to work with him on a number of projects, but the one where he truly opened my eyes in a whole new way. We were working for one of the automakers, preparing a board briefing. Here's their vehicle cyber program, where they are, where they need to go. And I was the project lead. I was overseeing the team of 20 people driving the assessment, and I was the one leading the development of the board slides. But my boss and my boss's boss and my boss's 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 boss were all going to be the ones presenting to the board, because what kind of 28-year-old punk kid deserves to be in that room, right?
How dare they?
So I was preparing the Admiral for the briefing as the executive advisor, along with the three bosses. And I'm walking through the material, and all of a sudden Mike turns to me and he goes, "Hey, Alexandra, why aren't you joining us in the room for this briefing? Clearly you're the one with all the answers. You know the material better than anyone in here." I never even thought, hey, wait, healthy people ask for what they want. why didn't I speak up and ask, can I be part of this briefing? Can I at least sit and listen in? I don't need to be the lead. I've never briefed a board before, but can I just listen in so I'm ready next time? And because of that conversation, I asked the question, can I sit and listen in? And yes, I was ready next time. The next time that we had meetings like this, I was one of the people presenting. We have got to learn to advocate for ourselves. And sometimes having a mentor hold up a mirror in your face to say, hey, this is one of those moments, you know what you want, you got to ask for it, was transformational.
By the way, this also bleeds into healthcare. When you go to the hospital and they won't give you the service you want, you have to advocate for yourself. Oh my God. Just basic advocating for yourself. God, I can't begin to tell you the problems I've had in that respect, where they say, no, we don't want to deal with it. Go, no, you're going to deal with it. By the way, I just want to call out, before we play our first game, Dwayne Grand's bad idea here. I love this one. Adopt a sneaky Socratic method where you ask questions of your staff, but instead of learning, the goal is to taunt and humiliate anyone who gets wrong answers. What a just perfect. Dwayne, I love it. Excellent.
Yeah, that's triggering a little PTSD for me.
All right, let us play our next game. Here we go. Here's the music.
It's time to play Fantasy Seesaw.
All right, let me pull up the screen for this. So, hold on. Oh, it's hanging on me. Oh, this did this last time. Just going to show. No, yes, it's going. You know what? I should prepare better for this one, knowing that it's going to hang on me like it did last time. All right. You should see the screen in a moment. There we go. Okay. So here's what we got. Jody, you actually won the our first game with getting a whopping 1 correct. So you get to pick first. What this is, these are a series of skills that a leader would have. You are going to pick first, and you're going to go back and forth with Alexandra to pick up your your team of skills, if you will. And then we're going to show you the attack. And then you are going to defend yourself, as Alexandra will defend herself, as to why your suite of skills is better prepared to handle the attack. And then the audience will vote for who is best prepared. So of these skills, which is the first one you would like to pick?
Oh, man. I'm going to go with risk prioritization.
Risk prioritization. That is the third one. Whoops. That would be Jody. All right. Alexandra, you're up. What would you like?
Budget management.
Budget management. All right. That's a good one. Jody, you're next.
Man, let's go with team building.
Team building. Okay. Alexandra, what would you like?
Let's go with integrity and accountability.
Didn't know if that was going to make it to the third round. I was.
Yeah. I could sense you were going there.
All right.
All good. All good. Let's go with crisis management.
I'm shocked this made it to the third round. I'd think that'd be number one, but I'm all right. Alexandra, what do you want?
Let's do stakeholder management.
Okay. Jody?
Strategic vision.
Okay. Alexandra?
Change management.
All right. Jody? Whoops. Let's hold on. Oops here.
Conflict resolution. Conflict
all right.
resolution.
All right. And then you get business acumen.
Lucky me. I was hoping that would be left.
All right.
That's a good one.
Okay, so now what's going to happen is I'm going to take you to the next tab, and that will have the attack. And then you will each argue for why you are better situated to handle it. I don't even know what this is. I haven't even looked. Okay, here we go. So we see under Alexandra and Jody the skills that you have, and here is the attack scenario. A trusted high-level employee has discovered exfiltrating sensitive data to a competitor. The evidence is circumstantial, but the potential damage is severe. So, Alexandra, those are your 5. Jody, those are your 5. I'll start with you, Alexandra. Why are you best situated? Given what you have in terms of your skills, again, you can't pull from any of Jody's skills. Why are you best situated to handle this?
How did I let crisis management go till the third round?
I couldn't believe the crisis management went this far.
No, so couple of thoughts here. So first up, in any scenario like this one, you need business acumen. What information has been taken and how does it really matter to the business? What is the impact? You've got to be able to articulate that up front. From there, managing your stakeholders. Any incident like this involves legal, HR, the business, different areas of digital to be able to coordinate the right response. So you've got to understand with those stakeholders. And similarly, driving change management, because as a result of this incident, you want to make sure it doesn't happen again. What are the changes you need to drive across the organization going forward, which you can't do without integrity and accountability. Hold ourselves accountable to being a little bit better every day. And to do that, you got to fund yourself with budget management.
She pulled all 5 in. All right. Jody, Alexandra made a very good argument.
Management.
All right. But I would lean on crisis management. You definitely have that.
You can just use your one. I had 5.
A little sneaky stakeholder management is
all right.
Jody,
I want to hear a good argument from you.
So, I mean, a couple of things that really pop out here for me for risk prioritization, right? So insider threat, insider risk, we would have already had that identified and already helped to put controls in place to mitigate it. So noting that the evidence is circumstantial, but the potential damage is severe. Again, we would have already had that identified and known about. And then from a crisis management perspective, right, we plan for when things happen. And so we already have what we're going to do in place for when this does arise. We're practiced, we've tested it. And so it's a well-oiled machine ready to rock and roll and actually help consolidate and mitigate this risk. So, and then thinking about conflict resolution, right? So obviously there'll be some legal interaction that needs to happen with this potential employee. And so we'll know how to handle that conflict and close that down as well. And then from a team building perspective, right? So if we've actually had that team building, we really know this person, we can really identify whether or not that is a true threat. Again, going back to insider risk and the risk prioritizations.
All right. Both, by the way, in all the times we've played this, I'm going to give you huge kudos, both of you. I've never heard 2 guests give such great explanations for arguing for this. So this is, I think, is a closer, because often we have a very clear winner, but I don't think there is right now. So the poll is up. Actually, people are starting to vote already. So please get into the poll right now and vote. Who do you think is best situated and made the best argument for handling this situation? I'm going to count down from 10. So I'm going to just give you 10 more seconds to decide. So here we go. 10, 9, 8. Get in there and vote. There's a lot more of you on there than are voting. 7. It's a very close race. 6, 5. Alexandra has the upper hand. Oh, she's pulling away here. 4.
Oh, no.
Someone can start voting for Jody if they want. 3. There are votes coming in for Jody. 2. I'm going to call it in 2 seconds. 1. Jody got another vote here. Very good. And 0. And Jody did get another vote. But even with these last-minute votes for you, Jody, my apologies. Alexandra wins 12-9 in the votes, 57% to 42%. A very, very close race for both of you. Kudos on that. That was great. Awesome job, both of you. And yes, best explanations I've heard from anybody in this game. All right, let's get to our questions. How much time we got left? We got about 12 minutes. Oh, let me do this. Right now, we are at the end of this hour. We are going to roll over to our Discord where we're going to have face-to-face time. The 2 of you are available to join us, yes?
Absolutely.
Alexandra, did you create a Discord account?
I was working on it.
Okay. She's going to create a Discord account. Get that Discord account up and running. So you got 12 minutes to do it. 11, actually, now, even less time. But so we're going to roll over Discord. That button at the bottom of the screen is going to change to that. But it is not changed yet. Right now, it registers for our event in 2 weeks. Again, no show next week. I'm actually traveling. For those of you, any of you in Boca Raton, I'll be doing a live show in Boca Raton at a free event, the ISSA South Florida. So come on out to that. It'll be a lot of fun. In fact, Alexandra was on stage with me last year in exactly this time, October of last year, doing a show in Las Vegas. It was a ton of fun. In fact, I think we actually used a photo from that event for our Boca Raton show. I think awesome. That's actually, there you go. To essentially promote the Boca Raton show. Anyways, go ahead and click on the link at the bottom of the screen to register for what's coming on in 2 weeks. Make sure you have your Discord account. If we have not met you in our after show, post show meetup, please do that. But here's the thing. I want you to type the word meetup, and then any question, any issue you want to bring up. It does not have to be about leadership, but it could be about leadership, but anything. And then I will make sure that we ask it of the whole group that we bring this subject up. So meetup, anything you want to talk about, and we will bring it up at the end. And we have exactly 10 minutes. So let's get through a few questions that we have. This comes from Aman Sood. Here we go. In terms of leadership, what is the one key piece of knowledge / skill you have now that you wish you had in your earlier years? Compress years for us into 1 minute. I know it's a lot. That's a great, great question from Aman. I'll start with you, Jody. What is that one thing? God, I wish I had this early on. And that is?
Patience.
Oh, you didn't have patience. Okay.
So, well, how do I say this, right? I want to get it done. I'm going to push, but I realize that not everybody's going to work at my level and speed. It's not everybody's same goal as my goal, right? And so to have that patience for that folks are running their journey and their race at their own pace, right? And understanding that we will all get there as one team, but not to kind of have to put that pressure on folks, or really just again, when I was a 19-year-old kid working for somebody, it's just like, I can't work for this person. They don't get it. They did. I was a 19-year-old kid who didn't know a damn thing, right? So having that patience to put in the time, put in the work, get there, and just also enjoy the journey, right? Coming from consultant, it's up or out, right? As I'd go up, it'd be like, what's next? Never really spent time to really settle in and enjoy and really grow in that space. And so, again, it all to me boils down to patience.
All right. Very good. I want to remind people, meetup, whatever heck you want to ask. That's good. And let me just add to that, Jody. I think when you start out, you kind of assume, or you want everyone to work the way that you work, but people work in very different ways. And I can't stress this enough. It's good that people don't work the way you do, because if everyone worked the way you do, they would make the same exact mistakes that you do, which I can't stress enough. All right. So, Alexandra, what is the one skill that you wish you had early on?
So, to me, one of the most important things you can do as a career accelerator is to find peers that complement your skill set. To do that, you've got to know your own limits. What are the things you're good at? What are the things you're bad at? What are the things you love doing? What are the things you hate doing? Find people that complement your skill set, because together you will go a whole lot farther, a whole lot faster.
So I hear that a lot, and I don't know functionally how one pulls that out. So can you pull that off? I'm sorry. How do you actually do that?
So I was a consultant the first chapter of my career, and I was awesome at PowerPoints. I could do VBA, I could deal with Excel, it was fine. I could scrape my way through, but you give me a PowerPoint, I could get it done 10 times faster than my peer, Steve Miller, who was an Excel spreadsheet ninja. You could give him anything. He built Netflix before Netflix existed using Excel, right? I mean, he was awesome. And we teamed up on projects. Anytime I was pulled onto something, I said, hey, Steve should join too. Anytime he was pulled onto something, he said, hey, she should join too. And because we both had enough knowledge about what the other one was doing, functionally, he could make slides. I could deal with the spreadsheets. But that was enough knowledge to be able to ask each other questions, challenge each other, give each other feedback, but also step back and let the other one shine in those moments. And together, we were able to shine even brighter because we brought the full package of consulting glory of all the Microsoft products together. So just one example of how that can work in practice.
Awesome. All right. How much time we got left? Oh, you know what? Let me do the quick wrap up, and then we'll, with a little time left, we'll ask final questions here. Let me just, our little ending here. Hey, starting soon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, which is about 95 minutes from now, cybersecurity headlines we can review. And by the way, a treat for all of you, Rich Raffolino, who is always phenomenal on that show, unfortunately is under the weather today. He is not feeling so hot. So yours truly will be hosting that show as well. So if you feel, oh, how could I get more David Spark? Well, stick around in 95 minutes and we will be doing another show for you. That'll be at 3:30 p.m., 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. I'm sorry, Eastern Pacific. And we'll have Patrick Heim, who's the co-founder and partner over at Sin Ventures on that. Remember, stick around for our meetup. Now, Aaron, you can click. You can change that. Join us. Anybody can go click that now and join. By the way, in the lower left-hand corner, I always screw this up. Lower left-hand corner, that's where the buttons are for your audio and your video. And you'll get dumped in the group, and we'll have a nice chat. I don't know if there are any more questions for that asked, but we will get to whatever question you would like, or talk about whatever the heck, or more leadership. Would you like to sponsor a Super Cyber Friday? Well, guess what? We have availability next month in October for this very show. So if you would like to do it, do a really fun one. We have ways to do, we have a whole new aspect of Demos with Dave, which is sort of separate from this, but we make it part another part. Anyways, all I can say is email us over at info@CISOseries.com. It's going to be a ton of fun, and this show is getting better and better as well because we have great guests like Jody and Alexandra. All right, we have 4 minutes left. I will ask both of you. Alexandra, I'm going to start with you. What is one topic about leadership we have not brought up? I know we can talk about this endlessly, but what is one key thing we have not brought up?
I think one thing that we haven't spent enough time on is we started a little bit with it, but self-care, energy management. Mm-hmm. We've got to definitely dive back on that in a future session.
I am 100% on board with that. And Jody, what have we not spent enough time on? And I, by the way, if we have another 2 minutes, I do have more questions here.
Yeah, I would just say that storytelling, right? And knowing how to connect and that it's all about people, right, at the end of the day. So that element of being able to reach the people you need to get them to want to proliferate that culture of security is key.
All right. And then this question from Mauricio, which very much hits on a lot of things we've been talking about today. But over the years, what is the leadership skill that has been more successful to apply, and which one has been the one you wish you developed more? So, like, which one are you work that, like, it's like, oh, this one works all the friggin' time. It's like, I pull this one out of my holster and it always works. And the other one is like, I wish I was better at this. Either one of you, jump in.
So one thing that kind of came naturally to me was around storytelling and being able to translate. Like, my undergrad degree literally was in cross-cultural communications. So it's just who I am. It's in my DNA. How do I translate zeros and ones to dollars and cents, right? Or vice versa. The thing that I've found myself continually working on is, frankly, it's execution accountability. It is the backbone of being a CISO to do this, but it's really hard when you've got, hey, I've got to go deal with this stuff and this stuff and this stuff and that stuff, and to continually drive a clear system of accountability for all the things we need to go execute, and making that level of detail crystal clear for others. That's it's a perpetual journey. I think that we're all on, frankly.
All right, Jody, same to you. 1 minute, and then we're wrapping this up.
You betcha. So the thing that I think works most for me is my superpower is the ability to identify inefficiencies and find the right people to fill the gaps. So just because I invest in the relationships, I know what people are passionate about, what their skills are. I'm able to tap them in when we need them as fast as possible. And then the thing that I'm working on the most would have to just be, or I'm always practicing, is my communication style, right? I'm very direct. I'm from the Northeast. And so just knowing how to package the information for the right different situation, the right way for the person I'm talking to is important and something I'm always working on.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Jody Lash and Alexandra Landegger from FanDuel and Collins Aerospace, respectively. You two were absolutely awesome on the show. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Now, I would like both of you, hopefully, Alexandra, you have your Discord account, or you'll get it within a minute or two.
It's ready to go. I can multitask.
All right. Awesome. All right. So do me a favor, everybody. Go ahead, click the link at the bottom. We do want to chat with you. Please join. I love the post-show Discord. meetup portion. So go ahead, click on the link, join us over in Discord. If you have any problems getting in, Rich is going to stick around here in this chat, even though this show will shut down. He'll still be in the public chat, and he can help you with any Discord issues you may have. He'll be just around for about 5 minutes. Anyways, okay. Huge thanks to both Andrew, Aaron, and Rich for producing the show. They did an awesome job. To our guests, Jody and Alexandra, and more importantly, to the awesome audience. The chat room, I always say, is half of the show. Thank you so much. Go ahead, click the link at the bottom of the screen. Take us out, Aaron. Oh, right on the money. 1 hour.